Hi people, it's me Anja. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to a new recent released video. So the first book on this list is called Punching the Air. This is a YA contemporary and it's about a young black Muslim boy who gets wrongfully incarcerated. And I think that this story is absolutely so good. The subject matter is so important and timely with everything happening lately. And it's just so good, and I think that this book is a must read because this is something that as a young child I was always kind of a little bit afraid that it would happen to me because I always knew that there was a potential that it could. And I think that this subject matter is so important and necessary, especially for non-black people, because you see it in the news and stuff, but you don't have to think about how it may happen to you because you're not black. And I think that this story depicts a very realistic thing that happens far too often in the black community, and it's something that far too many people ignore. So that's why I think that this story is a must read, and this book is so good. And if you couldn't tell, I rated it 5 stars, so please rate it too. The next book on this list is called My Life in the Fish Tank, written by Barbara D. This is a middle-grade contemporary, and it follows Zinnia, whose life is turned upside down when her older brother is diagnosed with a mental illness, and it's a story of growth, change, and survival. The story was so good. I really enjoyed it. I was intrigued to read this book because I read Barbara's previous book, Maybe He Just Likes You, earlier this year. So this story was solid. It was good. I really understood Zinnia. She was a well-written, realistic character. Her frustrations felt very realistic and almost relatable. I really liked her family dynamic. I love it when familial relationships are strong and centered in a story, and the story did it so well. I would say that honestly I prefer this book to Maybe He Just Likes You, but anyway, the story was solid, and again, like I said, it talks about mental illness, which I love, and it was just so good, and I ended up rating it 3.5 stars. So the next book on this list is called Who I Was with Her. This book is so good. I ended up rating it 4.5 stars. So basically it's a YA contemporary, and it follows Corinne after her secret girlfriend of a year passes away, and Corinne can't tell anybody about it because she's not out. This story was so good. I loved the discussion of grief and bisexuality because our main character is bisexual, and I just really enjoyed it. It was just so good. The writing, the plot, the character development, everything about this story was so well done and so realistic, and I just loved it so much. It was so well written. I just found myself falling in love with this story and these characters, and everything that happened in this story was just absolutely so good. This story deserves all the hype and so much more. It's just absolutely so good, and the sapphic romance in it is just so lovely and wonderful, and it was just done so well. So there's that. Please read it, and I rated the story 4.5 stars. The next book is called Watch Over Me, written by LaCour. This is another YA contemporary that I rated 4 stars. It follows Mila, and after she's newly graduated and she's aged out of the foster system, she's offered a job and a place to stay at a farm, and she accepts it. And except that the farm is haunted by all the past traumas of all of its residents, and unfortunately her past trauma is slowly but surely coming to light. So there's a trigger warning for emotional abuse. This story was so well done. I loved the atmospheric setting, the plot, the characters were just so well done. LaCour, if you are unfamiliar with her, is the author of We Are Okay, which I read last year, and it was also really good. And this story was also really solid, and I would say this book is not superior to We Are Okay, but it's also not inferior either. It's just in the same tier. I rated both stories 4 stars. Basically, anyway, the story was so good. I really enjoy hard-hitting contemporaries, and this book was definitely one of those. It was just so good, and I just really enjoyed it, so I hope that you do too. The next book on this list is called The Lost Wonderland Diaries. And this book is a middle grade fantasy and follows Celia and her new friend Tyler as they fall into Wonderland in the same land as like the Mad Hatter and the White Rabbit. However, the world that they're in is not the Wonderland that they are familiar with. This story was good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the action-packed, fast-paced plot. I liked the characters. I liked the setting. The world building was solid. The only thing that I didn't really enjoy about this story is that it sometimes switched from like Celia's third-person perspective to first-person, and that was just really inconsistent, and I didn't really understand why that happened. Like, I really never understand why authors do that, but like the bulk of the story was in Celia's third-person perspective, and I think that it should have stayed in third-person throughout the story and not just like, I would say that it stayed in third person for like 85% of the story and 15% was in first person for some reason, and I didn't really understand why, so that sometimes whenever it went into first person, that took me out of the story. And also, the second thing that I didn't really enjoy about the story is just like a personal preference. I mean, obviously all of my opinions are personal preferences, but anyway, I wasn't completely hooked by the story until they got to Wonderland. Like, before they got there, I wasn't completely hooked. So anyway, I ended up rating this book 3.5 stars. The next book on this list is called The Art of Saving the World. This is a YA science fiction, and it follows Hazel and how she and her doppelgangers try to stop the end of the world. I didn't love this book. I liked it. I rated it 3 stars. I enjoyed the action-packed, fast-paced plot. I enjoyed the sexuality and anxiety representation because I think almost all of the characters are ace. We love that. But like, I wasn't emotionally connected to any of the characters. Like, this is one of those instances where I was more interested in what was happening than who it was happening to. And like, I know that like Hazel and her doppelgangers, like every single person looks the same for the most part, and technically they're not all the same person. But I wasn't emotionally connected to them, so sometimes I would forget that like one of the doppelgangers was there. Like, you know, like I would just like, she would pop up and I was like, oh, you're a character in the story, right? You know, like that would happen way too many times. So yeah, I wasn't emotionally connected to any of the characters, but I was intrigued with what was happening, so that was nice. Also, maybe it's because like the world building didn't completely suck me in the way that I wanted it to as well. So yeah, I rated this book 3 stars. The next book on this list is called Ignite the Sun. This follows Celia Nightingale. I think that's how you pronounce her first name. I don't know. Basically, she's headed to the heart of darkness to try to restore the light, aka ignite the sun. Get it? Title reference. Or else she will risk losing everything. The story was so well done. I really enjoyed the action-packed, fast-paced plot. I love being thrust into the story right away. I really enjoyed the world building, the romance, the character development. Like, the story was all around so really good, and I just really enjoyed it. And it's really underhyped. Like, this wasn't a story that I heard lots about before its release date or after its release date or like on its release date at all. And like, I am here to give it more hype because it was so good. It's like if Shielded, which is a book that I read like earlier, like this year sometime, written by Kaylin Flounders. It's like if Shielded, that book, got an upgrade because this story is so good. Maybe I'm just saying that because Shielded and Ignite the Sun are both like underhyped YA fantasies. But anyway, basically Ignite the Sun is superior to that book, and it's just so good, and it deserves so much more hype. So please go give it the hype that it deserves. The last book on this list is another YA fantasy that I rated 4 stars, and it is Star Daughter. This story was so good. So basically it follows this girl, and when her human father is injured, she goes and visits her mom, who's a star, for help, because she is a star daughter. So this book was so good. I really enjoyed the world building, the plot, the character development, the romance. The story is just so good. I just really enjoyed it. I found myself like falling in love and like into the world almost immediately, falling in love into these characters, this character development. Like, dare I say more about the world building? The world building was so good, and I think the story is inspired by Hindu mythology, which I love. I love it when worlds are like inspired by like real culture and like real life, like mythology and stuff like that. So basically, this story was just so good, and I don't think that I've ever read a story before that's inspired by Hindu mythology. Maybe I have, I don't know. Basically, the story is so good, so please read it. If there are sequels, I would gladly continue this series. So in conclusion, the highest rating book on this list was definitely Punching the Air, and the lowest rating book on this list was The Art of Saving the World. So basically, I would recommend all of the books in this list, except for The Art of Saving the World. And also, I apologize for the flies flying in and out of my video. I don't know why they're all attracted to me, but like, that's just the way it is, I suppose. So anyway, if you enjoy this video, please don't hesitate to give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below if any of these books interest you. If any of these books are books that you've read, let me know what you think. And yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you're new, and I'll see you next time. Bye!